what we do as part of Keep It Real, Paré Brothers, is we do the headlines of the day. But what we do is we pause and we try to figure out a way to process these headlines, these news headlines, because they're very difficult. On a normal day, they're very difficult, but these last months with the coronavirus, I mean, I have the chills just talking about it, how, you know, how they can be very, very tough to get through from a, you know, caring about humanity standpoint. So if you don't mind, I'm going to read some of the headlines, but then we jump in. Jarnell jumps in, Dr. Denise jumps in, and they help us try to make sense of this, because we also believe that you should stay connected to the world around you. So if you don't mind, I'm going to quickly read the headlines, and maybe you guys can jump in too and offer some insight. The headline says Saturday, May 2nd, more than half the country is seeing loosening of coronavirus restrictions. Some are nixing stay-at-home orders altogether, while others are allowing certain businesses to reopen. California, I picked that because 3 of the 5 of us are in California at the moment. California is one of the states seeing large numbers of protesters. More than 1,000 people gathered in Huntington Beach to wave signs after the governor's order to close all Orange County beaches. This is from Huntington Beach, which might be kind of close to you guys. Governor Gavin Newsom says the state is days, not weeks, away from beginning to lift restrictions. Meantime, in New Mexico, this was the major headline this Saturday morning. All roads into the city of Gallup are now closed. And that kind of reminds you maybe, Jarnell, of Wuhan. You know how they like really, you couldn't even go in or out of there. The governor of New Mexico used the state's Riot Control Act to lock down the area that has 30% of the state's coronavirus cases. Other rules, no more than 2 people in a car, and businesses must close from 5 p.m. to 8 a.m.
Wow.
But I feel very sorry. Go ahead, Ramiro. Go ahead, Ramiro.
No, I just want to say that this is a very tough situation for all of us. And I want to say, in my point of view, we have to take this virus seriously. We need to follow the guidelines of social distancing, wearing a mask. But what people is not seeing, in my point of view, that we cannot close everything for a long time, because, for example, in Brazil, the economy is going down. A lot of people are losing their jobs. A lot of companies are shutting down. And as a consequence, what's going to happen is that the violence is going to erupt. You know, we are going to have a social unrest. Not only in Brazil, it starts in the poorer countries, it starts first, but it's going to come here too if we don't take care of this situation. If the business closed, shut down, people don't work, people don't have money, what happens? Violence erupts. That's what I want to say. Another point that I'm seeing a lot is that a lot of depression is coming out of this situation. People at home, they are getting depressed. I heard some cases of even some domestic violence is increasing too, not only here, all over the world, because people are confined in their houses, in their homes. People are getting stressed out. They are together all day long watching television, only bad news. The media only portrays people dying. Also, people get a little, scared because they don't know if they're going to have money to pay for the rent, or if they are not going to have money to pay for the mortgage the next month. And also, the kids are at home, the kids are playing, they don't know very well what's happening, they get excited. So there's a lot of things going on right now for a man or for a woman or for a family. And I think people have to take this into account. I think we have to open the business, because I believe if we don't take care of this now, the impact is going to be worse later. That's my humble opinion.
Ramiro, you talked about depression and you led right into the very next story in this little newscast. This week, we lost a New York emergency doctor to suicide. The sister of Dr. Lorna Breen believes 2 things led to the death: COVID and the stress of frontline workers that they're enduring. Dr. Breen had recently recovered from COVID, but her sister feels it, quote, altered her brain. The sister's named Jennifer Feist, and she says Breen had to work through Armageddon-like conditions at the epicenter of the crisis. And 2 days earlier, this wasn't even widely covered, a 23-year-old EMT died by suicide in Queens after telling his family he was struggling with coping with all the deaths of his patients.
By the way, I'm actually starting to get tears in my eyes because I'm an empath. And when I see someone like that beautiful doctor that was on the front lines, giving her knowledge and wisdom and love and just taking care of patients, I can relate. I'm also, as we know, a psychiatrist. And just this week, in 24 hours, I had 2 people that wanted to kill themselves in my practice. And so I had someone that was 16 years old and another person that was 20 years old that wanted to kill themselves. Luckily, I'm here. I know I'm in my home office, but like amazing connections can happen when you're working on the front lines of helping people to not kill themselves.
Yeah.
But I'm so concerned right now because I've been calling all my friends that are doctors at nighttime that are working in ICUs. One of my girlfriends is a pharmacist. Another one's on the front lines at a big hospital. I'm getting teared up, guys. Only because I have deep compassion. These are tears of compassion. And so I have good news, like the people in my practice are no longer suicidal, but this is a big reason why we're doing the show, because we have to have these tough discussions and we have to make sure people aren't alone. And I looked up, I wanted people to have the suicide hotline. This is a show that we're having. I can't be everyone's doctor, but I wanted people to have this 1-800-273-8255 number. Again, 1-800-273-8255. That's a suicide hotline, because you're not alone. A lot of people are feeling that way. And Ramiro, I've had people dealing with domestic violence in the last 2 weeks. People calling me, even people calling me saying, oh my God, I'm drinking whiskey all day. Friends that are like, oh my God, like we're drinking cocktails. So people are drinking more. All kinds of things are happening.
Yeah. Denise, how do you go about conceptualizing just being a psychiatrist? I mean, energy is invisible. It has to affect you. You have to somehow take it home, or do you leave it all at the office? Like, how do you do that?
Well, that's hilarious now because my office happens to be my bedroom. So it's a good point.
Wow.
I'm like mixing up my office because my son takes over half the house. And so a couple things. One, we've been talking about the champion mindset. So prior to going to medical school, I'm really fortunate. I played sports. Mm-hmm. I played soccer. I played varsity goalie. I could have played in college. I know you see me smiling in all these pictures with this little, but I was someone who could take people down. Mm-hmm. And so I'm very fortunate because I think sports helped me develop. I also, just like Mateo swam, I'm missing my swimming. You asked me how I do it. I usually swim 6 days a week. And then I use prayer, meditation. I have an altar. I have a Tibetan bowl. So I set intentions before I go into sessions. I'm not just a Western medicine doctor. I'm very much a healer.
That's
so
big.
Prior to going in to see my patients, I set prayers to them. I send them healings from a distance. Yeah. And so this week, I'm telling you, I actually did a video where people saw me a little bit on the verge of crying because I didn't want people to think I'm always smiling. Because I think people don't realize that it is tough, Jarno. And my own son's a handful. So I've been with him for 9 weeks, 24/7. And I go and I ride my beach cruise. I have this little beach cruiser now. And I go on walks. And then I blast music too. So that's how I sing.
So there's never a time where you felt like you needed to call the sadness hotline. Speaking of which, if I was sad, how would that help me? I just wonder. Yeah.
You're so fun. So first of all, with gratitude, the woman over there named Kathleen O'Toole happens to be someone I've known since I was 11 years old.
Nice.
So I think what's important is that she and I were in school together in different programs. I think reaching out to friends. I think if you need professional help, call a doctor, a psychiatrist. But I personally reach out to friends, family. I crack jokes. I do memes. And so I think we need to learn how to raise our own vibration to keep ourselves happy. And gratitude, one of the big things that helps me to stay positive is I wake up in the morning, just like the champion mindset and in martial arts, we have to set the foundation for our mind so we can have the best day. And the other way I don't get too overwhelmed is I see people go from crisis to stabilization to thrive. I have people that wanted to kill themselves that are now like have 3 children, they're on television. And so I see a cycle. I know in those moments when someone's wanting to kill themselves, I know how to help people not kill themselves. And so Jarnell, I think if you were to call a suicide hotline, you said, how would that help? I think we need to know that we're not alone and that we need to have hope. And we need to find someone sense of purpose or love. In that moment where you're wanting to kill yourself, I always try to ask someone, like, what would they want to do so they could see the future? Because a lot of times in that moment of desperation, when someone does kill themselves or wants to kill themselves, they can't even see the future. And so it's really important that we stay hopeful. Like we talk about epigenetics on the show. And I know you guys want to talk, but there's 80 to 90% of our environment influences our mental health, our nutrition, the people we hang out with, the exercise. So we have to ask ourselves, is that 1 glass of wine okay? Or do I need to stop? Do I need to do no alcohol? How much exercise? For all of us. I mean, you guys are jiu-jitsu champions. You play basketball. We're all going a little bit stir crazy, right? It's like we're in the cage right now. Right?
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of that and alcohol and drugs, I want to ask Romero and Matt, when you guys came to America, there's a lot of depression going on in America more than any other place, surprisingly, being that we're such a more developed country. But a lot of people, and maybe a question for you too, Denise, a lot of people are interested in CBD and cannabis as an option to fight depression. Have you guys used or partake in those in that resource when you came over to America? And what are your thoughts, Denise?
I personally, I always stayed away from drugs. You know, drugs not my thing. Drugs destroy you.
Perfect.
It isn't good for anything. You know,
Awesome.
what I had sometimes, you know, I used to have my beer in the weekends. So until today, sometimes I like, you know, Saturday night, I like to have a beer or a glass of wine, but I don't overdo it because, you know, drugs, cigarettes, alcohol, they bring no good to anybody. So I drink a beer or a wine weekends, but very moderate. And I advise people stay away from cigarettes, drugs, and alcohol, because this is what the Matrix wants from you. The Matrix wants to destroy you and wants you to get destroyed and dependent.
I
You want to
just
say
want to
something,
say
Ramiro?
yes. I just want to say that what I saw here is that, you know, people work very hard, but a lot of people are hooked to some kind of medicine. You know, people here they use a lot of medicines or, you know, painkillers or something for depression. You know, because I think people are not connected to their inner self. You know, sometimes they work too much, they are caught up in this lifestyle, money, and they don't have a time, for example, to have fun or to connect with friends, to connect with themselves, you know, with their families. So it's one of the things I see here. People use a lot of medicines, a lot of, you know, drugs, you know. And I just want to say that I'm not against, you know, if you are an athlete and, you know, you have a little beer here, a little, you know, cocktail there, you know, sometimes, as long as you don't do it every day, once in a while is fine. I think it is good, you know, for socialize with people, even for relaxing. But talk now about drugs. I'm against drugs, and I don't know. When we grew up, weed, you know, in Brazil was considered a drug. I know here now people use the CBD and they use the THC. I don't know very well you know. I know people use the CBD kind of for relaxation. That's what I heard. So I don't know if there is an effect, you know. But anything that makes, for example, someone stay high, you know, in another state of mind, I'm not sure if we should use a lot, you know. So even with alcohol, a little bit, you know, a little beer here or there to relax. But with other things, I'm not sure. But if CBD helps, I know a lot of athletes, they use CBD to relax, you know, after training or after workout, everything. So I don't know. I don't have enough knowledge about the subject. But the main thing is take care of our body and our mind. That's all I have to say.
Well said.
I have two quick stories. I think we're going to have some gratitude for these. Two more. Today, when I prepared this news report, so far, Dr. Denise and Janelle and I love this story, so I keep putting it in. But so far today, 137,000 babies were born, and that number is climbing. So I had a friend have a baby this week, and they thought it was a little boy, and it was like only one could see the baby at a time. And the mom went in, and the doctor's like, oh, she's this. And the mom said, no, it's a boy. And the doctor said, oh no, you have a girl. So it was just a fun, happy story in this time of lots of unhappy stories. The final story, I kind of included this one for you guys, Paré Twins, because this is a bilingual teacher in Connecticut. Okay, we got called to the hospital to visit the family of one of her 7-year-old students. There she is. Her name is Luciana Machado Lida, and she soon learned of this family's very desperate situation. The girl's mother, who the teacher barely knew, had the coronavirus and had to have an emergency C-section. Because everyone in the family was suspected of having the virus, they needed a safe place for the infant. So Luciana, to the rescue, she took the baby home. She didn't know a baby was coming home with her. And later she was asked, why was she the mom's primary contact at the hospital? And Luciana answered, I'm just a teacher. And I thought,
wow,
that's lovely.
Yeah, and the family felt comfortable with her because they shared the common language, and I knew that would mean a lot to all of us.
Yes, we have good people in the world. A lot of good people, yeah.
So Dr. Denise and Jarnell, we have to let the twins go because we've taken so much of their time, but was there anything more that you wanted to follow up with them on?
Well, let's ask them. Is there anything else you wanted to say today, Ramiro or Mateos?
Guys, I just want to say, keep it real. Keep it real with your life, with everybody else. Follow your dreams and love yourself. Never give up. That's it, guys. Keep it real and never give up the fight.
There you go.
Where can we find you guys on social media? Ramiro, where can we find you all?
My brother Mateus knows it. Mateus is Paré Twins, right? Paré Twins.
Yes, you can find us on Instagram. It's Paré Twins. It's right there. P-A-R-E Twins on Instagram. So nowadays we used to teach classes, private classes. So because right now everybody's on quarantine, if you guys want private classes, we are doing online classes. Just go to the Instagram and send us a message. If you want to teach your kids or if you want to train martial arts, send us a message and we can teach you through Zoom, because we are building classes right now because we don't know for how long the quarantine will last. I heard the gyms will open, at least in California, maybe by the end of the year. Mm-hmm. So if you guys want to learn martial arts or something, just go there to the Paré Twins, send us a message, and then we can talk about teaching you guys online, because we are building classes right now.
Ramiro?
Yes. I just want to say now to conclude that great meeting we had with all of you guys. Thank you so much. I want to say that this time, especially this challenging time, is a time where we have to connect to ourselves. Now we have the time, for example, think to yourself, okay, now that I have a lot of time in my hands, what I really wanted to do or what I really needed to do that I didn't have the time, but now I have time. Maybe this might be a disguised blessing. Oh my God, I was so, caught up in my old lifestyle. Now that I have time to connect to myself, wow, I always wanted to follow this path. I always wanted to study this or to change my career or to do something else. Now is the time to change the direction of your life, to have a better life. Let's use this moment, this challenging moment, to go after what we want. And let's not be a victim of brainwashing, Guys, let's stop watching too much television. Sometimes people get even sicker watching TV because it's only tragedy, only bad news. If you can get out of the house, check it out, the sun, like today is a beautiful day in California, talk to your friends, call your friends, do something, but enjoy your life, enjoy yourself, go after what you want, start a new plan for your life right now. This is the time. There is no tomorrow. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much, all of you. It was an honor for me and my brother to be here.
Well, I'm dusting off my Portuguese. Obrigado. Obrigado.
Oh, yes.
There you go.
You got it.
Thank you, man. Great having you on the show.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Awesome job.
Nice to meet you. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Bye. So guys, what'd you think of the Paré? I know Dr. Denise knows them well. Jarnell, what did you think?
I thought they did a great job. I can definitely relate just from having brothers. I mean, I'm so close to my brothers. It's insane. Like, we actually live together, and like I was watching videos of them, and like on YouTube, it seems like they do everything together. Like, is that the twin life? But at the same time, my brothers aren't twins, but just how they're able to talk on such a educated level to where they're both on the same wavelength. You just don't get that a lot in family. You don't get that a lot in this world that we live in today. So I just want to have some gratitude for them coming on the show.
Wow. Jarnell, you couldn't have said it better. I don't really have much more to add. I mean, I think the only thing I would add is that when Ramiro was closing out and giving us all that advice about how to adapt, I was just, if you see me smiling, everyone, it's because I can't believe I'm here with Kathleen, Jarnell, the Paré brothers, because we're also realizing in this time during the pandemic, we can still connect. We can also bridge cultural barriers, age barriers, talk about the news in new ways. I can be real vulnerable and talk about how I went from being sad about someone not wanting to live. I mean, I feel really honored and grateful to share this time with both of you. And Jarnell, you asked a question about CBD, and I have to tell you, I, as a doctor, I don't have a lot of experience with it. You and I've had a lot of calls about it. This is what I think. I think that there's so many tools in the toolbox for good mental health. And I know you personally, I feel like we should have a whole show on this. We'll do one of our deep dive shows later, because I've been one of those doctors that even though I prescribe medicines, I've always been open. Like if a patient tells me this modality is helping them or this isn't, I've never been a doctor to say, no, no, no. I've kept an open mind. And I think Western medicine, I don't want to be against or for big pharma, because this is why. I have people that have done incredibly well on the meds I prescribe, but I do everything I can to not prescribe. In fact, I just did an interview, we'll have him on our Keep It Real, with someone that uses ketamine, which we'll talk about on a whole nother show. So I think—
Does people get mad at you? Like,
mad at me?
People feel like they've came to your office, I have this issue going on in my brain, and now you're just trying to tell me that I can heal it naturally? Like, that seems like a new concept to a lot of people. To me, it was.
Well, this is the way I handle it, because I really keep my Western medicine hat on, in the sense that a lot of people, by the time, you have to remember, I'm at the top of the food chain, meaning people usually have gone to nutritionists, they've done their fitness, they've seen therapists, they've done hypnotherapy, so they've had treatment-resistant symptoms. So oftentimes, by the time they get to me, they've done everything they can to not get to me. Meaning, a lot of people may or may not need or utilize medications. But I always educate people that that's not the first thing, and I empower them to do their own health. So I want to be really precise in answering your question about CBD. I think a lot of products, whether it's medication, I hate when I see these weird advertisements on TV about antidepressants. I mean, I think it should just be about depression, but my whole point is like, I think people can try to sell snake oil, so to speak, whether it's anything. And so I think if you're doing your company, which we'll talk about another time, and you're working on getting FDA approved, like mines that are more on the FDA approval and using scientific method. Let's talk about scientific method and data. So as an MD, I don't want to I'm not against any tool. I think we need to get the data. And then I have that healthy skepticism that if there's not money behind it, who's going to do the study? So it does mean we know mindfulness, yoga, martial arts, good nutrition, and we know you probably in a whole other show, you and I are going to do a deep dive, and maybe we'll have a discussion offsite about CBD and how it's helped some people you know. And then I've introduced you to Dr. Alan Tin, I believe. We had a 2-hour conversation when you were in Vegas. You know your journey and what you've experienced and how we can help people with all tools, whether it's meds, no meds, CBD, ketamine. I want to bring all the topics and not have a closed mind.
Yeah, I love it because I'm definitely an advocate for CBD, but there are so many tools. You're right. So if you're overloaded on one, you'll miss out on another area. And that's so glad to hear that someone in your stature isn't ruling out CBD. I mean, just to hear that you aren't, just bought into Western medicine too, that really means a lot. I mean, I know numerous people dealing with situations, and could you tell me more about like different stories where someone may have, asked for different medicines or maybe particular medicines and you had to talk them out?
Well, let me just talk in a general way, and then I think what we'll do is we'll have a show on this. Maybe we'll do a deep dive on major depression or a deep dive on anxiety, or we'll have a guest that's inspiring, like maybe Kevin Durant or someone from basketball or different sports that have like walked the walk of healing. But I will tell you that most people, when they come to me, they've kind of heard that I don't just like go for the prescription pad, but I also, I try to do, you know how you've studied so much about mindfulness and Kathleen has too? I like to keep open-minded, because the word tools instead of medicine, sometimes the minute people hear the word, let's just talk about words, right? When you hear psychiatrist, people go, ah! Or if you hear the word disorder, you're like, ah! Or if you hear medicine, there's bias. But when people are on their own healing path, I like to be using words, because we know words carry their own vibration, that are open-minded. So I tell people, let's use the word tool. There's tools in the toolbox. Because a lot of times the linear language is so black or white, we don't have the backstory. So when we start to...
Same with the word rich. Like, I feel like that the first thing you think of is money. And like thinking back to the brothers, I feel like, those guys are very rich and they didn't pursue what the stigma of America made people of my color and most people in my environment do, which is, basketball and football and, in certain situations, baseball. I think Tiger plays golf. But I say all of this to say, just them having that mindset and being able to be innovators and stay in their own lane, they're going to change so many lives, so many people of my color I can speak of, because we just don't see that a lot. Like it's so rare. So I consider them as rich. Like, I don't know what their money situation is. I'm a multimillionaire. I've just became rich though, but they're rich. Like, I love the way they speak on topics, and they're very real. I just feel that.
I'm feeling so much gratitude just for your words right now, because I've gotten to know you at times when you were making decisions, and I won't mention specific teams or anything because I know that's not okay. I'm respecting your privacy, but I've gotten to know you offset. And what I love is you've been really achieving happiness and making decisions of how you want to influence the world. And you and I both, we're going to have other talks about how we've been easy marks, people betrayed us. And so, like Isaiah, your brother, who you're right there today with, and like the Paré Twins, and Kathleen had her close relationship with her sister. I'm close with my siblings. We know that relationships matter and that love matters, and that no matter how much money we have, we could be the wealthiest people on the planet. If we wake up healthy, we have food, shelter, clothing, and love. A sense of purpose and love. So maybe that's a good spot to kind of wrap up.
Yeah, I wanted to say we knocked it out of the park today, guys. But before we go, I want you both to tell us how to find you.
What do we want to do anything about keeping it real too?
Yeah. How have you been keeping it real?
Okay. Jarnell, quick keep it real for the week before we head out.
Yeah, Denise, how have you been keeping it real?
Okay, I've been keeping it real I actually cut my own hair this week.
Oh, nice.
I dyed my own hair. My son and I, he was like listening to me doing all these shows. He's like, Mom, I really want to be on your show. So I interviewed my son on my podcast, and he gave better advice than a lot of my other guests.
Right. It was awesome.
Yeah, you'll have to listen to his podcast. It's 13 minutes. And then I'm going to keep it real today by getting myself out of this outfit and outside and enjoying some sun. How about you, Jay? How are you keeping it real?
Well, I've been keeping it real by teaching myself also how to cut hair. As you can see, I definitely am struggling. Probably the longest I've ever been without a haircut. But to be honest, I feel as if I keep it real because I show up every day. I don't let the news, even though I know it, I'm well aware. I see all the evil that's going on in the world. I show up every day and I try to manipulate energy to where it's always a positive mindset. I know I've spoken to Denise. We just spoke on it actually, and I'd known Kat, 3 years ago as well when I was first starting my spiritual journey. And you guys know how far I've came. I'm definitely in a happier place. So with that being said, just from keeping it real every single day is led to a life-changing journey.
And Jarnell, we can find you on Instagram. Just real quick, tell us where we can find you.
Yeah, my Instagram is at Jarnell Stokes, and my business Instagram is at Stoked. We're currently doing campaigns for clothing and just raising awareness about herbal products, and we have some pretty cool new things coming as well at stokedsuperfoods.com.
Dr. Denise?
And I'm at Dr. Denise MD on all my social media platforms, Twitter. Now I'm on Instagram more, Facebook. And then we're excited. We now have a Keep It Real Instagram page and a YouTube channel. So we're going to get more information to you since we're all evolving. And thank you, Kathleen, for hosting us. And we love your boxing gloves and your smile and your intelligence. And I'm so glad that you actually had experience with jiu-jitsu. That rocked.
Yeah, super fun.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to Keep It Real. Actually, we want to know how you keep it real and other topics you want us to cover.
We're reading all of them. Let us know.